Andrew Salmon, and welcome back to WEC TV interviews. Now, out of all the regions in the world, perhaps the one that faces the steepest energy challenge is sub-Saharan Africa. What are the problems? What are the possible solutions? To answer these questions, we have the man who chairs WEC's Global Studies Group. He is also the chairman of the South African National Energy Association. Brian Statham, welcome to WEC TV.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.
Thank you. Brian, Africa would appear to be facing a triple whammy of energy challenges. One, lack of energy security. Two, lack of energy access. And three, even lack of energy sustainability. Basically, the trilemma in a nutshell. Is this an accurate picture of what's going on in sub-Saharan Africa? Something.
No, you're spot on. If you look across the African continent,
Yeah.
there are only 5 countries that have more than half the population with energy access. There are 15 African countries with less than 15% of the population have energy access. So clearly energy access is a problem. Secondly, if you've got no access to energy, you definitely don't have energy security.
Sure.
So the energy security is a big challenge. And even in the countries that do have reasonable energy infrastructure, lack of investment over many years and other problems mean that the systems are struggling and there's problems. So energy security is a challenge. Sub-Saharan Africa, and particularly the southern part of Africa, has a wealth of coal as its primary energy resource, but no real significant quantities of natural gas. It's a water-starved subcontinent. So coal is the energy form of choice. It's also the cheapest, but of course that has major sustainability problems.
The dirtiest.
And of course for those people who don't have access, what's their chance? They have to use biomass, chopping down trees, destroying agricultural land and things in the process. So it's really a nightmare scenario from an energy perspective.
What is actually causing this problem? Is this lack of finance? Is it difficult geography? Is it lack of infrastructure? Is it government corruption? Are there other political or military problems? You know, what is behind this black hole?
It's a combination of factors, Andrew. Firstly, the geography is difficult in the sense that Africa is full of big, wide, open spaces, low population density, relatively speaking, and so therefore the economics of trying to connect small villages onto mainline systems is a big challenge.
Sure.
Second thing is, in a way, the rise of India and China, massive markets. Africa is not first on the pecking order for foreign investment, so we struggle for that. There's been a lot of political turmoil in Africa. That adds to investors' perceived risk, which then adds to the cost of doing business in Africa, and therefore we're competing against some other very attractive targets. So those things make it difficult. Last issue is, of course, that we have a shortage of water and other essential services, and education has been a problem. So the skills, large sectors of the population are relatively unskilled. And in the rural areas particularly that becomes problematic because those people who have the capability to aspire to a better life have already moved to the cities, leaving your urban areas fairly starved of the necessary resources to do what's required from energy systems point of view.
That's a pretty grim outlook. Are there any solutions in sight? Do you have an optimistic view in any way?
I'm actually very optimistic, but because the solution for me is to go to decentralized energy. So you come off grid and you go to local energy systems. Local energy systems lend themselves to wind and solar, possibly with some formal biomass backup, some micro hydro backup, and those are all sustainable solutions. So, you know, there's a chance for us to go straight to the green, the clean energy to do these things.
What's stopping that happening?
Well, the challenge is we've got to change the financial modelling. These projects are relatively small, and investors say, the project's too small, I want to have big projects. Second problem is the market's relatively small, so you need to find ways of aggregating them. And in many cases, you have to aggregate them across countries. Now, for an investor coming in, he now has to face the fact that he's working in different jurisdictions with different rules, different regulations. That makes life very complicated. So Africa itself, the countries of Africa have to come together and make it easier by looking for common rules, common ground, make it easier for people to invest in the country. But the thing that makes me so optimistic is essentially the people on the ground have a will. They want to make it work. There's a desire to get out there and do things and make things happen. So if we can provide them with the skills and the baseline cash to kickstart the thing, then I believe we're going to see this take off fantastically.
Brian, thank you very much indeed for appearing on WEC TV.
Thank you.
That was Brian Statham of SANEA and also the chair of WEC's Global Studies Group. But do stay with us, we've got more interviews coming up very soon.